Hello, good evening, happy new year, and welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series. It is season 11. Who thought we'd get here? We did all of last season, but most people didn't think we'd get here. I am your commentator, Owen White. With me, I've got Mr. Jack Ricketts, and as you will all notice, this is not F1 24 anymore. This is, thank goodness, F1 2020, Jacko.
Yes, a proper game, and you've gone back to your old ways, as if we've gone back to season 2, in not giving me enough time to get the bloody tweet out. But we'll talk and do it at the same time. It's all good. We are mightily excited about this, aren't we? We were saying that off stream. We are ready, and it appears that all the drivers are as well, other than Matt Lester, who can't make it for technical reasons. So Jamie Griffiths gets a welcome return in season 11.
Indeed, and it's nice to see a full grid showing up. I'm also hearing that I'm echoing on your end. I don't know if that means I need to turn you down or if you need to turn me down, but that's going to irritate me as we go through this.
Let me get the tweet out, yes, and then I'll work on it. But I have a new mic, so that might be why.
Well, as Jacko does that, I'd just like to welcome the Dua Lipa fan club, because I'm sure one or two people are probably watching, having seen how well that went. Jacko was just doing that for himself after the Championship 5 last season, but it ended up getting, 20-odd thousand views, nearly 30,000, and I think we've got about 200 subscribers from that, so let's go us. Maybe the league will keep going, but it won't. We both can't be arsed. But
this definitely is the end. We should
this
make
is
people aware
yes,
of
this
that.
is absolutely we are at our limits, and we are very much going out with a bang, hopefully, here on F1 2020. Starting in Bahrain, which is where we also started in Season 2, which is when we raced on this game for the first time. We only raced on this configuration once, I believe, on F1 2020, and that, like I say, was the very first race there. And I was looking into the lap times before. 1 minute 25.7 was Jamie Wright's pole position time, and you will see, worth pointing out, he's back. He is very much going to be fighting for that pole position later on. We'll see him second driver out, but that will be after our new driver to the grid, Johannes Melies. And I hope I said his name right. He's German, so who knows how to say German people's names. But I forget exactly what number new driver this is, Jack. I'm sure you have the number for me.
84 is the number you're looking for, as I try and sort this sound issue out for you. It wouldn't be JACKOCAR without an issue, would it? But here we are. I actually don't know how I would do that anyway. But yeah, welcome Johannes Melies to JACKOCAR.
Have you got me coming out of like your speakers or something on your TV, or is it just your headphones or what?
Just headphones.
You sure you should just be able to turn me down then, and I should be able to... Or maybe I can turn you down a little bit, but I don't want people to not be able to hear you.
You did turn me up at some point in the last few races.
Yeah, I've turned you down a little bit, and I can hear myself a little bit less. So, do you know what? The cars are loud enough, so you'll be able to hear the cars over Jacko. Anyway, who needs to hear him? He's only the owner of the league. So...
this is it.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? And you'll see, and hopefully you'll continue to see throughout the night, some actual creative livery choices. This one isn't as much, to be fair. It's just British Racing Green, which is for German. I'm sure Germany had something to do with green, but it's very much British Racing Green on it, isn't it? And we're going to ride on board for a lap around Bahrain, because these cars drive quite differently to what we're used to in the JACKOCAR Cup Series, because, I mean, F124's cars, they practically drive themselves. Some people disagreed with me when I said that in the chat yesterday, but they do. They basically do drive themselves. You can spin those things, and you can try. These guys will make mistakes. So, down towards turn 1, there's just a lot less front end and a bit of locking up already there for Johannes as he comes through. You've got to be a lot more careful on the throttle. You'll see that on the bottom right, the wee green trace. It wasn't as flat out as it would have been into turn 4. Taking it relatively easy. Just trying to get round. And you'll notice already, I'm watching Jamie Wright is on medium compound tyres. We've been talking about it before the stream started. Top 10 have to start on a tyre they qualified at, and the first stage is lap 10. So if anyone's wanting to go and get that stage point, soft tyres might not get them there. Jamie Wright, though, if he qualifies in the top 10 on those mediums, he will start on them. Everyone else in the top 10 has to start on the tyre they qualified on. Everyone outside the top 10 has that free choice. Just getting it out of the way, because it's a rule people have very much forgotten about in the past few years, and it's a rule that really should never existed. I don't think anyone liked it. What was it, from 2014 to 21, something like that? It It was a strange rule. But through the middle sector, as Gareth already leaves us, as useful as always. Football is very much his forte. And what would have been his first qualifying session on F1 2020 ever. Hopefully he can come back as we see Johannes with the final two corners. He's just about got round. He's well over revved and he's got his shifts all over the show as he crosses the line, and that has beaten the pole position time of Jamie Wright in Season 2. And that wasn't a very good lap. Although it has to be said, I think Jamie must have set that time on mediums. That's the one thing I didn't check, but he's on mediums again. And welcome back to Jamie Wright. He'd taken some time away. He'd been with us with the football stuff, so we hadn't felt his loss of presence, but he's very much not been racing for a while. So he's back to try and become a three-time champion, to join Jake O'Sullivan, who of course won in Abu Dhabi last time out in what was one of the more chaotic championship fires we've ever seen. I'm sure we'll talk about him later on, but Jacko, do you want to take us to the rest of this one?
Yeah, Jamie Wright. We did last see him at the start of Season 8 when he sort of lost all his pace. He transferred to Will and it just didn't work out for him. Of course, he was more prominent in Season 7, which I think is when his last win come. But the two-time champion is back for the final 21 races of the JACKOCAR. He goes P2 over the line. It won't be pole like it was the last time for him in Bahrain. But for one Jamie to another, this is the only non-full-timer tonight, Jamie Griffiths. He is replacing the technical difficulties Matt Lester. Of course, Jamie Griffiths dropped for attendance reasons. Jacko, the league owner, wanted better attendance this season. I tell you what, until Matt Lester's issue, we had 20 full-timers racing. That was quite fantastic. But let's see what Jamie can do. Of course, it's an open championship this time around. So that means it's not the top 20, it's the top however many want to race as Jamie Griffiths goes P3. I'll hand back to you for the first of 4 Germans. It's Robin Border.
Of course, we've already had one German in in Johannes, but...
Yeah, well, this just reminds me of the Championship 5 skip where I forgot about Jess.
Oh dear, don't even get us started on that. We have a first invalidation of the season as Robin does get it all wrong. And again, through turn 12. Turn 12! An absolute nightmare. Do not touch the inside curb. It is one of the most notorious corners on the game's sort of pre-23. Touch that inside curb, you're in some serious trouble. Robin didn't even make it there before he invalidated. He went wide at turn 11, so we will move on to Dustin.
Third German.
Yes, we've got a lot of green cars, by the way, here at the moment. Just worth pointing out, Raisman was in the colours of the Bahrain flag, but I think this is what a 4th car we've seen out in green. So, yeah, big fan of the green. As an Irishman myself, I think there might be a car off at turn 1 and 2, but we'll not worry about that for now. It might just be Robin, but we'll focus as completely ignoring the apex there, it looked like, into turn, what is that, turn 10 was Dustin. And Jamie Wright retiring. He's the only one out there on mediums at the minute. I wonder if his lap time being so far off Johannes' pace might just discourage a few people of trying to go for that again. As Fuzzy through the middle sector, he's about a second and a bit down on where Johannes' pace has been. So I don't think this is going to be a particularly special lap. Like I say, missing the apex at 10 didn't exactly help his cause. And we'll see him come around the final corner. If I'm honest, I'm not really all that interested in this lap because the guy who's coming up next actually has some pace on this game, which we haven't been able to say for a while. And as Fozzie goes 4th fastest, it's Michael O'Keke.
Yep, Michael O'Keke's last Cup Series win come on this game in Season 2 all those years ago. Didn't invalidate there. It was dreadful.
And there, oh dear.
Yeah, that's what happens when you muck up the one before. But he's got 20 more qualifying sessions to get it right.
Jesus
and terrible
Christ.
there as well. It's because he knows he's fast. Look, he doesn't know. It's like a terrier. He's very, very excited. All that energy. He's got the zoomies, has Michael O'Keke. It won't be a very good lap, like you alluded to. It may well have been, as Gareth finally rejoins. But Michael O'Keke, over the course of the season, certainly first 12 races, if he can get his qualifying sorted, then his pace, he will be one to watch for sure. But yeah, Michael, I've called you Michael O'Keke. Owen Wyatt. It's the Michael Owen link.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? As coming around the final corner, pretty poor lap, has to be said. We'll see. Is it under 1 minute 30? Yes, it is. Well, there's something at least. Baza. This is always a nice track for him. As he crosses the line to go P4, he won his first race, I think, wasn't it? Oh, was it LR8, something like that? I commented on it. I remember it. It was.
Back.
I loved that he won here. It was great, but he hasn't won since, I don't think. So come on, get your act together, mate. I want to see you win again.
Though for Baza,
it's a decent lap, yeah.
That's really good.
He'll be happy enough with that, I think, for the first lap back. Now, MK Bourne. He had pace on this game, from what I can recall. He never hit a Championship 5 like he did in Season 1, but he was certainly relatively on the pace. So I've got hopes for him. Hopefully we can see a decent lap time coming here. As through to the final corner, of course, in his purple that he always runs. It's a nice livery template. You'll see a lot of unique livery templates, thank goodness, tonight and throughout the season, as Mike Keltborn goes P4. Not too bad. And we move on to Yuri.
Yep. And not to sound like Jake O'Sullivan too much, he was complaining about coming back to this game. But he does have a point. You can see it's definitely 30 frames a second.
Oh, yes.
As opposed to 60. It's very visible to the eye, which is something you don't realise when you go from one game to another, like new game to a new game. But when you go back 4 years, it's definitely visible. Anyway, as I said, not to sound like Jake O'Sullivan, we'll ignore him, the three-time champion, and focus on the rest of Yuri Hazelaga's lap. You alluded to earlier about the starting on the tyres you qualify on for the top 10. Yuri's the only man who brought that to my attention, and of course you brought it up as well, Owen. So round the final corner comes Yuri. Can he use that to his advantage, or does he want to be P11 on the grid? He goes P2 for now, closest man to Johannes, the debutant.
Do you know what I find interesting, just when you were mentioning on the frame rate, is if you're say just driving on your own solo, if you go into a replay, is risky. What a save that was for the final corner. If you go into replay, it is 60 frames per second. So I was hoping we'd get to watch this in 60, but it doesn't look like we are in broadcast mode. So that's a bit annoying. But yes, the drivers do run at a slightly lower frame rate to what they're used to. I think Jake Asrisky went second despite that slide. Jake had mentioned there's input lag, and it's true, there is a bit of input lag on this game. Try any fast chicane and you'll see it. It's very difficult to drive until you get used to it. So yeah, there are some things you've got to adapt to. But we've heard, Jacko, and I'll let you take this on, because it might be a stat about to go about Pete, if his pace that we hear he has is true.
Go on, you tell me, because I don't have any stat ready.
It's like 150 something races since he last won.
That stat.
Come on, it's Pete Knighton. What other stat would it be?
It was 162 races since Pete last won, and it wasn't on this game, it was on the one before this game. But anyway, here's Pete Knighton to the line, P2. He does have pace. Welcome back to the front, Pete Knighton.
Oh, that's nice to see, isn't it? Hopefully we'll see him continue to form throughout the season. And look at this livery for Leroy Haslager.
Yes,
colours,
Leroy.
Shiny colours, and an actual template. Thank goodness for that. Not that the other livery's been bad, but it's just nice. It's just nice to see. Thank goodness. And these didn't cost people too much back in the day. This is a game with Bitcoin in them still, before people have a go and say it was all EA's fault. Cody's were at it, but at least they gave us some liveries before the EA lot came in and told them to stop. And there's actually some in the podium pass for this season as well, which I believe you can get for free. I know, great. So well, that's interesting. Actually, if I ride on board, I am at 60 frames per second. That's interesting. I'll remember that as Leroy comes up across the line. But yeah, there are some livery templates, P5 there, that you can get on the podium pass. So I wonder if we'll see some drivers pick those up as they get XP throughout the season. But yeah, on board, the frame rate's quite nice actually on these cars, so we'll ride on board with Ben Harrett here.
Yeah, the only thing I will say, Mr. White, is I've seen from previous commentators in the past where some of them religiously just use on board, and it just gives you no sort of variety in the race. So
I know.
Don't do that. Let's have a good mix, please.
Listen, I've commented, 400 or 500 races at this point. I know this by now.
I was going to say, I'd like to think you know, but you do know there are people out there that just stay on the onboard.
Yes. That's why I started commenting in the first place. It annoyed the hell out of me.
To be fair, it's what I did in the last race of last season, but that was to give an alternative view, as Ben Harrett goes P6, the most hated man in JACKOCAR, according to Pete Knighton.
Interesting.
And they're on the same side as the grid at the minute. So from Ben Harrop to Gareth Hall, has his internet stabilised? It has, and he's brought some colour to the grid as well.
Indeed, one of those colours is again green, but
Green,
we're not we're not complaining about it too much because he's got some pink which simply just doesn't match it. But it's fine. At least you'll be able to spot Mr. Gareth Hall out there on what is indeed his first race on this game. Well, in JACKOCAR anyway. He's probably raced on it before, but he's old enough. But he wasn't great probably back then actually, but he certainly is now as he comes up to the checkered flag. Well, not quite checkered flag yet. To the finish line. It's gone P8. It's not too bad for a first attempt, I suppose. Corey, next up. We're expecting this to be fast, Jacko, and he's green again.
Yeah, so Corey Dalton, you may recall way back in the day, season 1 and 2, he was not allowed to race full time. That was a decision of mine because he was too fast for the league. Obviously, the league's grown up, he'd become a full-time driver, but now we've gone back 4 games to a time when he was esports material. Corey Dalton comes into season 11 as the title favourite, by the way. So he is the one to watch, and he's on the same list as Johannes and also Pete Knighton. They are the 3 that, and Michael Okeke actually as well. They are the 4 that could really do something this season. But Corey Dalton, first qualifying of the season, he's kept it valid, and to the line he comes. P1, welcome back, Corey Dalton, champion-elect, question mark?
Well, if he's going to give a big toe like he just has to Arnold, it might give him an advantage. We'll catch up on his lap later on. Here is Mr. Ben Shaw. This is where we saw the original statement all the way back in season 2, if you remember. He didn't win the title that season. It took him till season 8. But he does have some pace on this game. I believe he got through in the chase, didn't he? Did a Championship 5 on that occasion, like he did last season and in season 8 when he won the title. But as he comes up to the line, 7 times, bloody hell. He's gone P3. That's not chase material, is it? Good lap.
Hello.
No, where's Arnold? I did see him locking up big time into turn 1, but and again into turn 10, but he hit the apex that time. So we expect this to be a good lap. He already spoiled to everyone what his Joker is this season. It's Belgium, but no one is a Joker tonight. It's worth pointing out just before we all forget. There is no Joker tonight. Stage is lap 10, lap 20. Got a pit after lap 3 for your first pit stop, and then obviously lap 21 onwards for the second stops, which is why we were on about the tyres earlier on. Looks like Jamie Wright might not even start in the top 10 with those mediums, so that gamble might not have paid off just yet. We'll see with the free tyre choice on the grid if he gets there, if it gives him an advantage. But here comes Arnold around the final corner. Like I say, he must be one of the favourites for the title as well. Unbelievably, 10 seasons, no titles for him yet. He didn't race in all of them. He's gone P2 here, but surely he'll be looking to try and break that duck in the final season. Here's Casper, and he's also out there looking for a first title. I think he was particularly unhappy with how Abu Dhabi turned out for him, as I suppose you would be when you end up in all sorts of accidents and chaos. But really, it was more just a random lottery to who won that title. It was an absolute mess, and Casper, he might be coming back for revenge this time, as he once again, he knows he's only got one more chance to win a title for ERT. Coming up to the line now, it's not going to be Paul, I don't think. He'll go P4. It's quite close up at the top here.
It sure is, as we start to see the cream rise to the top. It's names that we're familiar with and names that we're used to seeing from way back in the day. Leaves us with 2 to go. It's Kieran Spears and the three-time champion, Jake O'Sullivan. But Kieran first. Whatever JACKOCAR does, we do seem to have an order that is familiar to the eye, isn't it? Corey, Arnold, Casper, Ben Shaw, Pete Knighton. The new boy Johannes is up there. Where does Kieran put himself? P7. I've been hearing he's not that fast on this game, but P7 with this crop of drivers is not that bad. It's 1 to go, and it's all over to you, Mr. Owen Wyatt. Here's Jake O'Sullivan.
We'll ride on board as he comes through the middle sector. The reigning 3-time champion. He won season 5, season 7, and of course, most recently in Abu Dhabi. It was a chaotic race. He came through in the end. You got your screenshot at turn 5 of a championship winning overtake, although I think he actually got pegged back once or twice. But he still won the title, that's the main point. And he's now looking to try and defend it to become the outright 4-time champion. Jamie Wright will try and match his 3 titles, but regardless of what happens, he is certainly going down as one of, if not the most successful JACKOCAR driver we've ever seen. It's a shame Khalifa can't be here with us, but he's busy. He's got a life. But it looks like good pace from Jake as he heads for the middle sector. He just has to get this last sector all under control. We've seen a few people struggle on traction as they come through the last 2 corners. Let's see. Looks all good for me. 1 minute 25.5 to beat. Let's see. It looks good. It is good. He's 4 tenths quicker than the last time we were here. And Jake O'Sullivan starts his title defence on pole position.
And with that, the first playoff point of the season, which means Jake O'Sullivan has been championship leader for continuously 3 seasons in a row now. So all of last season, he was the last one out in qualifying. And then, of course, he actually led in... No, he didn't. I'm a liar. Because he didn't win the season before. That was Khalifa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But Khalifa didn't turn up. That's why Jake was last out in qualifying at the start of last season. So 22 weeks now at the top for Jake O'Sullivan.
Yes, and he'll be hoping to keep that up for the whole of this season. It is another long season in terms of we have a lot of races, but we should point out that actually for the first, 6 weeks of the season, we'll be running with 2 races a week. After the sad demise of the Kia series, we decided to take up their Tuesday slot, so we will be racing every Thursday and Tuesday. Or Tuesday and Thursday, I don't know why I go in the wrong order. Tuesday and Thursday, all the way up until Austria, which is round 12, which is of course our last race of the regular season. So that'll take us right up to the end of February. So you'll be getting the double dose of the Cup Series all the way up till then, which is nice. But here is the grid for the first race of the season. It is Jake, Corey, Arnoud, Johannes, Casper, Ben, Pete, Kieran, Risky, Yuri. What a top 10 that is. Leroy, Ben Harriet, Jamie Wright. Took the gamble on the mediums. It didn't work out for him. Gareth in 14th, Jimmy Griffiths in 15th, Mike Hettleborn 16th, and then Baza, Dustin, Okeke, and Robin, the only driver to invalidate their time. Although Okeke, he tried. He really tried.
He sure did. He was so savage, man. Welcome back, OMY, everybody. I'm just filling in a couple of little things here, and I have some news for you.
Oh.
So, new season, same old JACKOCAR, but with the points has been restructured. Specifically, the playoff points. No longer will we award drivers for a playoff point for finishing second or third. There is no playoff point for leading the most laps, and there is no playoff point for leading a lap. They are all gone. So we're back to basics with just a playoff point for a pole, a fastest lap, a stage, a win, and a joker, and of course the reward playoff points that you get for finishing in the top 4 or winning the chase duel. So it's kind of a hybrid between seasons 1, 2, and 10.
Have you had a chance to think about the stat I was telling you to think about?
Is it something like you mentioned it when Pete was there? So is it like 1,500 days since Pete won a race?
Nah, it's something to do with race winners at the start of seasons. I might as well tell you it now. So we've had 10 seasons of the Cup Series, and I thought, because I remember that we saw Jimmy Wright win this race in season 2, and I thought, oh, who went to win the title? I wonder how many times that's happened. It's only ever happened twice, and it was both on F1 2020. We saw Khalifa win the first race in season 3, and we saw Jimmy Wright win the first race in season 2, which means whoever wins this race tonight has a 100% chance of winning the title. Do you not think that's a bit mad though? In 10 seasons, only twice. Because who won the first race? It was Okeke. He didn't win that title. I've no idea who won season 4, but it wasn't a title. It wasn't Jimmy.
Well,
it was.
Funnily enough,
He was I think third.
Right,
yeah, give us our race winners.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me season 8. I know it was me.
Jamie Wright won season 4 and then went on to win the title, so it's happened 3 times.
Did he finish third across the line that day, though, or did the front 2 just get absolutely nuked with penalties? Because that's the one thing I was going to ask.
Yeah, he didn't win on track, but he won on penalties. Season 2 was
spoils
actually
the stat.
even though Jamie Wright won the opener here in Bahrain, the Championship 5 race in Brazil was won by Riley Byes.
Yeah.
Season 5, Matt Redmore won the opening race. Jake O'Sullivan won the title. Season 6, Casper won the opener. Kieran won the title. Season 7, Jamie Wright won the opener. Jake won the title. Season 8 was yourself, and then Ben Shaw won the title. Season 9 was Arnoud won the opener. Khalifa won the title, and then last season, Khalifa won the opener, and Jake won his 3rd title.
So my stat was nearly right. This is why you did a stat. Well, actually, no, it's still true, though. They're both on this
still
game.
True. No. One was on 20, one was on 21. Because we only did one season on 2019. Season 2 and 3 were on this
2020,
game.
yeah, and both race winners from the first races in those seasons went to win the title, was my point.
No.
Yes?
Yeah, I get your point, but you were wrong.
I'm right.
No, you're not.
Yes,
because Season 3 and Season 4 were raced on 2020 and 2021.
Right.
So 3 times as the race winner of the first race won the title.
Yes, but 2 were on this game. Sorry, I got
2
confused.
were on this. My apologies. Because I'm looking at Riley's name thinking that means Riley won the title. He definitely didn't. Because that's the first 2 seasons is the only times that the champion has not won the title on track.
Oh, well. Well, we had a go.
In the last race of the Kia season.
We had a try on stats. But anyway, shall we look at some tyres? Because we do have, obviously, the bottom half of the grid getting to choose their tyres. Mediums for 7 of them. Hards for 1 and 2. Softs for the rest. Obviously, the top 10 start on their qualified softs. And now we watch the drivers slowly but surely get themselves onto the grid. And I must say as well, must be a shame being Gareth Hall hearing that you don't get a point for leading the lap anymore, because that was very much his tactic, wasn't it, last season? And it's been stripped from him. But they all add up to the grid. We've lost OKK already. That's a bit of a shame, but he was on the back row anyway, alongside Robin. But we do have 20 cars on the grid, and we do have 5 red lights. It is the last ever season of the Cup Series, and boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. What a start from Jake O'Sullivan. He's way clear, and into the wall already goes Corey, and that looked like he got a bit of a tag from the back. Either that, or he struggled with traction. It's difficult on this game to get the cars off the grid. Wheel binding into turn 1 between Arnold and Johannes, and it's Arnold who gets ahead, but it's Jake who leads by over a second already. No DRS till lap 3, remember. That is different to the way it is in 24, where you get it on lap 2 onwards. So it is worth pointing that out. As Downey inside goes Johannes on Arnold, he gets that position back, but then goes wide off the track and loses it again. Contact, bit of front wing going off one of the cars, hard to tell who it was. We'll catch up on it soon, because you'll notice when that car goes sailing off the road, because if you lose any front wing in this game, you will certainly feel it. And trying to look through, it's hard to tell who it is. We'll figure it out eventually. It is Ben Shaw. That's a shame. In 4th place. He'll struggle with turn 10, but yeah, he might have to pit at the end of lap 3 with that one, because it is quite difficult to control the cars when they have damage. Pete in 5th place, doing okay. And I'm seeing Jamie Wright on the medians. He's the hardest runner on those so far, but he's got Leroy alongside him. And it looks like Leroy's going to try and do a cutback. Nice racing, and he's up into 9th place. Jamie won't want to risk it on the inside of turn 12, because you see why he had to back off there. He would have spun otherwise. Up ahead, risky, getting through there on Yuri, and Yuri looked like he was struggling quite a bit there. He's also got a bit of front wing damage on his car, but as we head to the end of lap 1, it's nearly 2 seconds to gap for Jake O'Sullivan.
All those complaints though, and then he's leading by 2 seconds.
Unacceptable.
He's a 3-time champion. I always say the best drivers will just get on with it, and he is eventually, after a little moan. But yeah, lap 1 goes Jake O'Sullivan's way. But how good is it, Owen, to watch Jamie Wright racing again? The reason he let Leroy go so easily is because they are actually teammates, would you believe? Don't forget we have teams back this season.
Yeah, that's worth pointing out, as we see a move from Leroy on the inside, and the order's going mental. We'll figure who that was in a moment. And we already have a penalty for Yuri, and Yuri really struggling here to get himself round the track. Casper just stuck behind at the moment, and Leroy following and hitting him, and that might be front wing damage for him. It is indeed. And that's a shame for him as well, Leroy. He'd had such a strong start to the season, fighting away on those mediums. But look at that, Jamie Wright with a moment, and there's a bit of front wing gone either off his car or of Ben Harrop. Hard to tell, but there was definitely contact into turn 10, and it must have been Jimmy Wright. Yeah, Jimmy Wright's got a broken front wing after losing it into turn 10. Oh dear. And there's still fighting going on ahead. We've got Kieran now passing Leroy, and Leroy with the damage. That's not a surprise, really. Casper's surely going to get past Yuri as well. Penalty, front wing damage, not the ideal start for either of the Hasselagers actually. As contact, and more contact as we see Casper just shove him off the road basically. I think Gareth Hull's off in the background as well. And this fighting's ridiculous. We've got down the inside Pete on Ben Shaw and up into fourth place.
Casper as well.
Yuri's, yeah, indeed, on the inside of Casper. We've got Jamie Wright and Leroy fighting away. Yuri's off the road, bouncing back on. And still side by side, DRS is now enabled, and we do see it being used. We see Kieran just trying to find a gap through the middle of those two, but a bit early for a risk as big as that. As off the road goes Casper, and we are free wide now, so I shouldn't have said it really. And contact again as Casper gets around the outside of turn 5 and 6. Good move actually. And ahead of Yuri. Ben Harrow, contact again between Leroy and Jamie Wright. And now side by side Ben Harrett and Leroy. So this is just the drivers getting to grips with things, isn't it? There's more contact between Ben Harrett and Jamie Wright. Sure, that was front wing damage on Ben Harrett. Massive bit of front wing damage. That is mostly gone. That'll be into the pits at the end of the lap. And I tell you what, I'd be lucky if he doesn't hit him again. Very close to hitting Jamie Wright again.
Oh, it's gone. Jamie Griffiths with no front
look at this. Yeah, he's lost the right-hand side. And a lot of downforce loss when you get more front wings are flying off. You lose so much downforce of it compared to the last F1 game that we were used to, 24. It's not really surprised we're seeing this much action. But who's going to pit at the end of lap 3? Because I have a feeling we might see a few in. Because half the grid is crippled at the moment with their damage. Ben Shaw's into the pits. Jacko's not even had a chance to get a word in. He's just laughing in the background. What a race we have already. The fight for second place is interesting, by the way, but the fight for the lead is going to close in because Arnaud, he's got DRS. He's about a second.
And he's dragging the German with him as well. So Jake's early dominance has been cut short. Pete Knighton, though, he's bringing Risky with him in the sort of backup train, if you will. They're having a very good race themselves. They're certainly not out of it by any means, but yeah, the battle for the lead, very, very interesting. As you can tell, I am very much enjoying this one. It's fantastic.
There's more front wing gone, this time from Gareth, and he's been hit massively by Robin. I'm surprised we're not seeing safety cars, actually, for the amount of debris on track. He might need to use the whole front wing for that, but my goodness, the amount of drivers who are going to lose out in the pit stalls. Look at the field spread already. You can see it on the map. It's enormous. We surely need a safety car just to close them up a wee bit as as Robin nearly loses it out of turn 10. It must be a bit of a pro, but yeah, I'm getting confused on the names. But yeah, the amount of accidents in these first few laps has really spread the field out. So I think a lot of drivers out here are very eager for a safety car. Jake, around the final corner, continues to lead. Looks like Arnaud's going to pit. Is he going to drag Johannes with him? No. So this is a first undercut attempt of the season for him. And you can see he's running light on fuel as well. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that for the race. Of course, you can adjust your fuel mix during the race. You can run rich, medium, and lean whenever you want. This is the last game you were able to do that, I believe. So that will give us a little bit of strategy when it comes to your fuel usage. And ERS is a bit more, not lenient on this game, but if you hold the button on the main straight, you'll lose 20% rather than the whole battery. So that's also worth pointing out. If someone saves a whole tank of ERS at the end of the race...
Oh, Pete's gone into the wall!
Oh, he's out of the race as well. It's hard to... Where is he? Oh, there he is. Safety car. First safety car of the season, and it's Pete Knighton who's brought it out. Not a surprise, actually, to see a car spin through turn 7. It is one of the more difficult corners, especially if you get on the curb on the exit, with the way the track is in this game. And the way, if your car just gets unsettled on a curb, you will spin. And that's what's probably happened there to Pete. So that's going to cause issues for Arnaud because, well, he's made his first pit stop and it was under green. Everyone else who pits here will make a safety car stop, which means Arnaud might have the advantage later on, but he might lose out on track position for now. He is P9, not too bad. A lot of this field are going to be quite pleased to see a safety car out at this moment, I think.
Yep, Corey as well. Of course, he pitted on lap 1, so now he can make a mandatory stop and be back in the race. Note on Pete, yes, he's crashed, we understand that, but he can take a lot of positives from the opening 5 laps here. The pace is there, he is cooking up something special. Give him time. Once he gets back on it, I think we might have one more Pete Knighton win in us before we shut up shop.
Now, this pit stop phase might, if he doesn't get held here, promote Risky up into 3rd place, which would be positive for him. He obviously won one of his 2 races, I believe, on this game back in season 2, and Arnold is actually going to go past him. So Arnold will hold on to 3rd place, and I think that does give him a sort of net advantage then, because he stays 3rd, and he will get a safety car stop later on if the chance comes up for him, which is good news. He's on hards as well, so he can run as long as he needs to. Top tier on the mediums. Just looking through the rest of the field. A lot of this might change just through front wing changes, but everyone will be able to come out on track and have a fresh car, which thank goodness. Because as entertaining as the first 2 laps were, we did lose about half the field's front wings. Also worth putting out, I know we didn't actually see one at any point last season, but there's no red flags on this game. So that, if there's a particularly big accident, we won't have to worry about that as well. We didn't see any of them last season, did we? We saw a few in F123, but nothing on 24.
It does mean, though, Owen, I have a stat for you here. JACKOCAR has seen 5,428 laps in the Cup Series, and only 6 of those have been red flags.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a useful feature that was from Codemasters, but
yeah. So that translates to 3 red flags in the Cup Series, and I think Kia had definitely 1, possibly 2.
Yeah, because I think I caused the first one, didn't I? It was in Spa, wasn't it? And I'd crashed from the lead, I think, or from 2nd place, whatever it was. I took 2 or 3 cars with me, and it caused a red flag, and we saw one in Monaco, I believe, and I don't remember where the other one was. But yeah, I never got too much of a chance to see it play out, sadly.
No. So
but
not too sure where they were, but I think you definitely caused 1, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oops. And you're proud of that, aren't you?
I was quite proud of it, yeah. At the time, I was like, well, just the initial disappointment of, I've just bottled the win. But then I'm like, do you know what? I've just created the best race end ever, because I think it started raining, didn't it, during the red flag for that? And it meant that the last 2 laps of that race were just like total chaos. It was something to do with changeable conditions. It was Spa. What do you expect? But yeah,
I'm sure if you were racing, then I would have been commentating, and I would have been like, "Oh, we've got a red flag." That sort of springs to mind a little bit.
I'm sure it was exciting.
The lack of surprise to see who's caused it.
Well, hold on. That's Yuri off the road under safety car. As we were talking about making mistakes, he's lost a few positions there, and
that's quick tonight as well.
Yeah.
Yuri.
Considering he had half a front wing for his whole first sort of 5-6 laps, yeah, that was a shame to see him make the mistake. He also got a penalty on lap 2. Oh! Leroy has now crashed onto safety car. What's wrong with you two? The Hasselagers are drawn to mistakes, but that was Leroy just weaving. Maybe he had to avoid Robin in front of him, but he's clattered the wall. He'll be into the pits at the end of this lap. Issue for him, safety car might also be in at the end of this lap. So that is a potentially race-ruining mistake there from Leroy. He was already down in 14th, but that was quite lazy, it has to be said. Worth putting out, by the way, Michael Okeke, only driver who didn't pit.
Because he's not here.
Oh, he's back now. Well, I'll tell you what, that's worked out quite well for him, because he's in, well, hasn't really, but he's in P10, he's in P10 anyway, so he's in the midfield.
Fuck's sake. Oh, we love this,
I bet he'll be really surprised. What am I doing in the top 10? I didn't even start. I wonder how long it will take for him to clock what's happened, but let's see if the safety car fancies coming in at the end of this lap. The whole field is in the train, and yes, lights are out.
Yeah.
Lights are out on the silver safety car, has to be said. Nice to see it back in its original colour. It's got the rainbow on the side of it.
I was going to say, it's the gay one.
I know, but at least it's in silver. I don't really like the red and the green ones. It doesn't really feel very like a safety car. The nice classic silver one. Lovely. But it's away now. We might see it in a few laps. We might see it in the next lap. But we've got Jake
about big gap at the back.
Yeah, that's interesting. Leroy causing that. He's not really having the best lap, is he? But someone's that front wing gone. This will be an interesting restart, because if anyone tries to pin the throttle, they might just spin off. You've got to be really careful when you pull the trigger here. Tires might be cold, although it is a bit easier to heat them up on this game, as Johannes has a little weave. We'll pretend we didn't see that. It was a small one. As
he may not have been told.
as crossing the line to start. And oh, there is a car into the wall. Oh my goodness me. I think it was Ben Shaw. We didn't get a good angle of it, but someone definitely slewed across the track. And into turn 1, a lot of fighting going on here. And 3 wide action as we head up the hill. And we see Kieran nearly losing it. He's going to have a lot of cars on him now. At the front, Jake from Johannes, who's got a run. Doesn't look to the inside to pass. Just shows him he's there, though. And up towards turn 4 for the rest of them. The green car side by side. Jamie and Jamie. That's not going to get confusion at all, is it? And Jamie gets ahead. But I don't think anyone will get any damage. But there was definitely a car sort of slewing across the track. A bit of a sketchy restart, but we've all got away with it by the looks of it, and thank goodness for that, because the last thing I need is cars getting damaged. Arno's not had the best restart. Maybe it was him actually who had the issue, I don't know, but he's 1.5 behind, 2 ahead of him, who are on mediums actually, to be fair, and that looked like a big move for Ben Harrett. And OKK, he's back less than 5 minutes, he's into the wall nearly already, but it is a spin, it's customary spin. We've not really missed that, to be honest, but he's back anyway. And he's back where he should be, I suppose. The 2 Jamies are still at it. And side by side. Oh, that's late on the brakes for Jamie Wright. And that's the front wing gone. Well, that was clumsy, wasn't it? He might have only hit the overtake now. He's already gone and wrecked another front wing. And Jamie Griffiths, he'll have more grip. Look out for the understeer from Jamie Wright. He'll just slip wide. Yeah. That's a mistake.
Say, Jamie would be rusty, and he certainly is. But he's not as uncompetitive as he thought it might be. He's definitely certainly a top 10 driver, but here he goes again, and inside of Jamie Griffiths, and that'll be a move into turn 1. Can he make it stick though?
Well, let's not worry about that from Rowan. Risky's just got past Arnold, and he's pulling away from him up into 3rd place. And now Casper will be challenging his ERT teammate as well. The 2 Jamies are still at it, and well, I'm surprised Jimmy Wright is staying ahead, to be honest, with the damage he's got. Maybe I'm slightly over-egging how much of a difference it makes to your grip, but well, you can see it. He's slow, Jamie Wright. It is going to ruin his race. A few pitters, Corey and OKK, so I wonder if Corey had an issue as well. I did see one car steaming up the inside into turn 10. Must have been Corey. Leroy as well pitting, but we knew he was going to have to do that. And Yuri side by side with Ben Shaw and staying ahead. It's a shame. It's a shame he has that penalty, because it will drop him back at this rate. As we see, that's Robin into the wall. That is his name, isn't it? I'm going to get confused with Riley all night now. Anyway, I don't know why. It's because you mentioned him. But anyway, yes, Robin off. Didn't hit the wall. He hit a DRS board, I think, but there's no damage to his car, so all is good there. Apart from that, of course, he's lost loads of positions, but another safety car, he'll be back into play. At the front, DRS is now enabled, of course. Or will be, sorry, as we head up the hill. And, well, Johannes, he's staying close enough to Jake to make him take notice. And I'm sure we'll see some sort of wheel-to-wheel fighting. Although DRS isn't particularly powerful in this game, I don't think. You need to be within, what, sort of 40 to take advantage of it. That's how sort of ineffective it is. But, well, we'll see. I could be proven wrong by that, but it's nowhere near as powerful as it would be on the more recent F1 games. I can say that for sure. Because it is why we saw a lot of sort of DRS trains back in the day. It wasn't because they were passing each other every lap, it was because no one could pass anyone. So, yeah, we'll see how that develops throughout this race. Risky, still ahead of Arnold, 4 seconds away from the top 2, who look to be slightly running away with this race. We'll see if anyone can catch up later on, of course. Hard compound tyres are slower than medium compound tyres, so we could see a slight convergence later on. But, yeah, Arnold following Risky, he'll be very happy with how this is going at the moment.
Hello, Owen. I'm back.
Hi.
I never left, actually. I was just trying to work out who the last race-winning debutant was in Jacko, in the Cup Series at least. And you have to go all the way back to Season 3, on this game no less, for Nathan Samba.
Yeah.
Race number 48. And here goes Johannes Mellison to the inside of Jake O'Sullivan. He leads in JACKOCAR.
I know, but I think he might have gone for that at the wrong moment, because Jake's going to get the run up the hill. It's a bit like Verstappen and Leclerc in 22, and Jake will have to DRS now up towards turn 4. Will he go for it? Will Johannes be able to defend it? He might be able to defend it, you know. He's locked up a little bit, but he has actually held the lead. So nicely done, actually, in the end. The movement to turn 1, that's why it's risky, because if you go on the inside there, you pass the DRS detection point, the guy you're overtaking, he might just say, well, do you know what, yeah, feel free to go deep into turn 1, I'll get you back up the hill. But he didn't manage it. And Jake, well, he might just watch Johannes drive away from him now. We'll see how that develops, but he's still within DRS. Like I say, it's not as powerful as it has been for Jake in his previous title wins, for instance. So he might, he's barely closing in there, looking on that back straight. So I think Johannes might pull away here. We'll see. Arnaud, by the way,
Jake as well. I was just going to say, Jake got the playoff point for stage 1.
Didn't even realise we were past that already. But Arnaud, he got back past Risky, and he's pulled a second on him. And look at this, we've got Kieran on the inside of Casper, who's got a broken front wing. So I wonder if there has been some sort of accident between Arnaud, Risky, and Casper, because that is, well, it's a shame to see that happen. But oh well, what can you do? Kieran up into P5. Let's say he seemed a bit worried about his pace, didn't he? But I think he'll take a P5 here tonight. Jake.
Here goes Casper.
Oh, Casper, sorry, we should say. Yeah, I was just going to say, Jake, he only closed within a quarter of a second into turn 1. Casper on the inside of Kieran. Again, he gives Kieran DRS, but then pushes him right wide out of turn 1. So that might be the way of going about it. And I think that was Jamie Wright trying to shove his way through,
Jamie
wasn't it?
Wright. Yeah.
Not the most conventional overtaking attempt there, and it didn't really work out. But Yuri nearly into the back of Kieran. My goodness, and look at that. Is that Ben Shaw shoving Yuri off the road? I don't think the Dutchman will appreciate that. Yellow flags. Mike Kelterborn has gone off on the exit of 4. Looking for a safety car. Could well see one. There's a bit of fighting as well, as we see Yuri and the two Jamies and Ben Shaw all having to suspend their fighting because we have got another safety car. And yeah, out of turn 4. It's another popular spot to crash on this track. And it's our second DNF. Well, Mike Kettleborn and Pete Nine, what a surprise.
Yep, old foes, and I think first and second in all-time DNFs. In fact, let me fact-check that for you, because I'm sure that is the case. So the first one was Pete Knighton, 55 DNFs now, he is the record holder. Michael O'Keke has 45, Mike has 44 as of, and including that one we've just seen. So yeah, first and third, you know what, fourth in line, just for the record, Sullivan Lewis, 41 all-time DNFs.
Now, with this safety car, it does give these guys on mediums a chance to just sort of cool down a little bit. There's only a handful of them out there from that first safety car period. And I think one of them is probably going to pit. That'll be Casper to get that front wing changed. So it'll be the front two on those medians, really. And Baza as well is the third remaining one out there. He's having a tidy old race. We haven't really seen much of him, but he's in P8 at the moment on merit, which is nice to see. Also pitting is Yuri. They're both onto new medians then, Casper and Yuri. But yes, the guys at the front on their medians, I suppose they will be targeting that lap 21 pit stop. It's a shame Arnaud's, well, he's been able to close up, but again, he'll be looking at second safety car, won't he? Or that third safety car now, just to give him a chance to pit from lap 21 onwards. That must be his plan. Same with Ben Shaw, Gareth, Robin, a few of those guys who'll just be hoping to get that safety car chance later on. And yeah, the field will close up once again. I think Michael O'Keke is still driving, so that puts him back into contention. And he's ahead of Leroy, so good for him. It's been
Leroy with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well.
Oh, nearly loses it out of the pits as well. So he's not done his mediums any favours. The 5-lap old mediums he has on at the moment. Yeah. And what a messy race he's had.
The car that pitted under the last safety car when it came in was Corey. He went from hards to mediums. So the Corey Dalton recovery drive needs to last another 7 laps before he can sort of get back on terms with the rest of these guys. It's not a perfect opening week that he would have liked, and he's not really gained back the ground he would have liked either. But he's getting there. I think he'd be happy if he can salvage a top 10 out of this one. Yeah,
I think that has to be at least the target. But with the pace we know he has, I mean, not to discredit some of the guys ahead of him, but the likes of sort of Gareth, Ben Harrett, Baza, Jamie Griffiths, he'd expect to beat all of them. And so, you know, if he can get to the sort of top 7, then he might be happy. And there's obviously a few cars around. Casper, Jamie Wright on some new tires, although they're actually not both coming back in, but Jamie Wright certainly is. Ben Harrett is into the pit, so that gains Corey a couple of positions already. And, well, what is Jamie Wright in for? He's going to be in for some softs, is he? To get him to the end of the second stage. Interestingly, Ben Harrett has gone for some mediums. I'm surprised others haven't actually gone for that. You know, Casper, Yuri, they pitted as well. They've gone mediums. That's potentially an inspired call there. Now, I've just seen Jack Ricketts join the party, having just not even left it. Or what's
about on my phone?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, am I still here?
Yes, you are still here.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, Kay and Leroy have also gone onto softs, by the way. So yeah, a few of those guys going to go for a run through the field, and the softs should be pretty competitive around here, but not for very long. They don't need them for long, they do need them for sort of 6-7 laps actually, so that could be an inspired move. That look out for Jamie Wright on this restart. We know he's got the pace, just don't break the car. Now, up at the front, Johannes is having a pretty solid sort of debut here. I mean, it didn't look like Jake was going to be able to fight back against him at any point. What I'll be interested in is to see how he handles a restart, because this will be the first time he's done a restart, of course, from the lead. He watched Jake O'Sullivan do one on that first restart, but it's always difficult when you're doing it on your own for the first time. I remember it as well. Suddenly, no matter how many times you've seen it, or no matter how many times you think you know what you're doing, the second you're suddenly leading the race and you're like, okay, I've got to restart this now, you do sort of slightly forget what you're doing. So this will be interesting to see if Johannes can get this done and stay in the lead into turn 1. Jake will certainly try and take advantage.
The catch here, which I will admit to, is I've not actually told Johannes about the restart procedure. So he may go early. I'll be willing to let him off.
You know, Jake's not going to let this go.
Oh, I'm well aware. Even if he wins. But obviously, this would be a free buy for this week, and that's it. So, but you never know. Johannes might know the rules, and I'm sure he's got some fellow Germans in his ear telling him what to do.
Well, this is the thing. I'm sure when you sign up to race in the JACKOCAR Cup Series, it's quite essential you read the rules, because they're pretty much different to every other league. So yeah, hopefully you'd hope he'd read up on his safety car restarts, but we'll find out in a moment, presumably at the end of this lap, because yeah, Mike crashed a few laps ago now, and the whole field is bunched up. I am ready to see some racing.
So, halfway through this race, Mr. Wyatt, call me a race winner.
I don't know, really. I really want to say Arnaud, hoping that his strategy works out for him, but I just don't actually think against the pace. If I'm being completely boring, I'd say it'd be Johannes. If I want to be a wild, sort of mental person, I'll say Jamie Wright. So I look out for Jamie Wright, I'd look out for Arnaud, I'd look out for Johannes. I'm really saying this because Jamie did win this in Season 2. And we've seen drivers come from the back here before. Kyle Smith, I think it might have been his debut, came from the back here to finish 3rd. This isn't entirely over for Jamie Wright yet. And he also wants to make an impact on his first race back, doesn't he?
If Jamie Wright can win, then so can Corey. And the other name I was going to throw into that list as well was Ben Shaw. So neither of us have managed to call a winner out of that at all, have we?
That's probably a good thing, really, isn't it? You don't want it to be too predictable. I just want the exciting strategy call from Jamie Wright to actually pay off. Because if it does, it'll be a fantastic few laps you're about to see. But let's see if Johannes has followed the rules. He's also weaving, but again, we didn't see that because he probably hasn't been told he can't do it. As he comes around the final corner. Again, Jake O'Sullivan, he's already got his notepad out. He's already scribbling down every rule this man's breaking, but it is Jacko's fault entirely. But he has remembered where the restart zone is. And, speaking of which...
That's one thing.
Nail the throttle. Oh, I tell you what, Jake's been caught completely asleep.
love
Kieran's up to second place. What a restart. And Arnold's hit him. Illegal overtake from Kieran. That's why he slowed down. So Jake holds on to second. But look at Arnold at the inside of the reigning champion. Johannes will be absolutely loving this as there's contact between Jake and Arnold. We're watching from the rear of Johannes as he just simply drives away from Jake in second. Arnold now third. Ben Shaw fighting side by side with Jamie Griffiths into turn 4 and nearly contact. Risky falling back a bit and nearly losing the car as he's got Bazza passing him. There's a bit of front wing come off one of the cars. Was it Risky? It might have been. He's having a lot of contact now with Kieran, and it was Risky had contact. Arnold's had a big moment. Big moment for Arnold, yes. And the fighting's still good on. So Ben Shaw third, Jamie Griffiths fourth, Bazza in 5th place on merit. Has to be reminded. Kieran off the road again. Where's Jimmy Wright? He's 13th. Where's Corey? P7.
Wow.
I said he'd be happy with 7th. I think he'd be happy with a little bit more than 7th. He's passing Arnold. He's got a big front wing damage. That's why. Oh! Big one for turn 12. We mentioned it might be a problem in this race, and Corey just about got round. Now, Bazza, he's not happy with P5. He's on the attack here on these medium compound tires. Same as leading 2. Look how far ahead they are. This is a legitimate good tyre. And I don't think Bazza's wasting any time. Here he goes on Jamie Griffiths. Griffiths hasn't got any DRS, or ERS I should say. So Bazza should be able to get this done into turn 1. What a rush this must be for him. Down the inside. He's gone into 4th.
Well done, Bazza. Of course, former race winner here in ILR, you mentioned it earlier, but now can he hunt down the Season 8 champion right in front of him, because he's nowhere near the back of Jake O'Sullivan. So Bazza in contention for a podium here on lap 17. And Corey Dalton is on his way through as well. A
lot of pit stops, by the way. Arnold, Risky, Jamie, Gareth and Leroy all into the box. So that sort of wrecks the Jamie Wright prediction a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, Corey on the inside of Jamie Griffiths is going to become the outside at turn 10. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. P5 for Corey Dalton. He's on his way, Owen Wyatt.
I tell you what, Jamie sensibly just backing off there. He didn't fancy an accident. There's a car off in the background. Is that Ben Harrett? Yes, it is. Has he still got a front wing? Can't get a good angle of it, but he was well off the road anyway. And he's got about 2.5 seconds behind, so he doesn't have to worry too much. And yeah,
Bazza's gone!
Oh, into the wall. Inside of turn 12. It was going to catch someone out. Sadly, it's Bazza. What a few laps he was having. Oh, that's a shame, though, isn't it? Doesn't affect
the pressure.
Yeah, it makes Corey's life easier because he can seriously chase now. And look at the pace he's got. This should be a fastest lap for him. No, not quite, actually. Maybe he was fighting too much with Jamie Griffiths, but expect a fastest lap from him soon. And look at Casper as well coming through on Jamie. Yeah. Had to really move out there to avoid hitting the back of the green machine. One of many green machines out there, but Casper ahead.
Yeah. Jamie Griffiths actually driving very sensibly. I think he knows he's a reserve. But of course the points count. I said earlier, it's an open championship, so you are free to race. They always have been, but they actually mean something this season. But he's just being very sensible and collecting what points he can. He does know that the 5 drivers ahead of him, and they are probably the very best we have in the league, as Yuri Hazelager starts to tickle the back end of Jamie Griffiths.
Now, when it comes to the leaders, Johannes has not been able to keep Jake outside of his DRS, but again, even with the DRS, Jake needs a lot of things to go his way. Possibly a dive bomb or something, or just a good last sector to close in. He's got plenty of ERS to use if he wants to, but Johannes can just counter by using ERS himself. So yeah, we'll see what Jake does as he comes into the final 2 corners, misses the apex of the penultimate corner, which doesn't help his run through the final corner. I know, but I just want to quickly show how little the ERS or the DRS helps. He's not closed in at all. Corey's closing in. Corey's in the 3rd place. Wow. And yeah, that's Johannes using about 10-15% ERS power, and that's enough to just hold Jake O'Sullivan back on the DRS. So yeah, look out for that in the next few laps, because we are approaching lap 21, which is when you'd expect those two to be pitting. Jamie Griffiths fighting away with Yuri and losing, but again just pulls in behind. He's on much older tyres. It doesn't really make much sense to fight, does it? As Arnaud puts in the fastest lap of the race. He's a pit stop behind everyone though, which is a shame.
Jamie Wright sets the fastest lap of the race.
Well, they're both on new tyres, but they're just nowhere, are they? So it's a shame really for those two.
Pace is that.
Risky as well, just stuck back there on those new softs. Gareth Hall not even on new softs, on new mediums. And Baza, of course, on new softs as well. So, Johannes, Jake, Corey, top three. Once again, those top two have just broken away from the rest of the field. Although, it has to be said, there's been a lot of incident from third place down. It's the front two just keeping it clean, staying consistent. It's what's doing it for them at the moment. As Risky overtaking Jamie Wright. Nice move, but it's a shame it's only for P14. Now, Robin is a second to pick up a time penalty. He is on 13 lap old hards. They won't be looking too good, but they won't be looking anywhere near as bad as these mediums at the front. But it looks like Jake is going to close in. Not using much ERS, he just wants to close in naturally. Ronyard signed to turn one. This is going to be a chance to cut back, but I think he was too slow on the apex. He wasn't going to get any sort of cutback doing that. And Jake, he stays behind again. And that might win Johannes a stage point, unless Jake really fancies it into turn 11, but that'd be very risky to do.
Yeah, almost not worth it at this stage of the season. But it's nice that we do have a battle, and if they really start going at it, it'll just bring Corey straight to them. And he's managed to drop Ben Shaw by over a second and a half now. Casper all over the back of Ben Shaw, but back to the front, Owen. This is where it all is at the minute. Johannes versus Jake.
And Jake, like I say, he's come into this, the reigning three-time champion. Big slide out of turn 10. That's going to definitely cancel out any chance of him moving to 11. But he's the reigning three-time champion. He did complain about the input lag on the game, and it is true, like I say, there is some. But you know what? All the drivers have to deal with it, and it's the way the game's always been. Maybe it's less input lag, more you've just got less frames to play with. But regardless, it looks like he's gotten used to it. And it looks like he's able to fight for a fourth championship this season. Like I say, he's the only three-time champion. He may well be the only four-time champion. Now, what's Johannes going to do here? Because he knows he's been caught up. Is he going to let Jake pass and then get the move back into turn 4? Jake will get past easy. That was a given based on the run through the final corner. But Johannes still won the stage point. Into turn 1, Jake leads. Let's see what Johannes can do to counter it. Casper ahead now of Ben Shaw. We sort of expected that with the way that Ben's pace has been going. And Johannes, he's not going to pass. So Jake, he's got the move done. He's into the lead. Surely they're now racing to the pit lane.
Yep, and in all of that, Corey found half a second. So, like I say, just a bit more fighting between these two, and Corey is there. Casper, by the way, did get past Ben Shaw. We missed it with the move for the lead. Yuri trying to get back up to Ben Shaw. But it's a top 5 that you could, I'd say, near enough have predicted. So you go back 4 years in a game and you still get a top 5 that is very, very familiar with the eyes.
Indeed. And it's a very impressive debut from Johannes as well. Let's say, obviously, I think, as you already mentioned, he would have been in the Cup Series if it weren't for just his pace already. We knew this was going to be coming. He came round, set a quick lap, beat last 4 years ago his pole position on his first lap ever in the Cup Series. So we knew the pace was going to be there. Now he's going to try and get himself back past Jake O'Sullivan to try and win on debut. But I'm expecting both of these cars to peel off into the pits, and they have. Corey's getting another half second. His tyres are 3 laps younger. Will he follow him into the pits? Yes, he will. Casper will also follow. Ben Shaw will stay out. He can, if a safety car comes out, make a safety car stop. That's why he's staying out. He's now gambling. Jake ahead of Johannes, ahead of Corey, ahead of Casper. No stacking in the pits, which is good to see. Kieran into the pits as well. KK, who's ended up in the top 10 again. And this is on strategy, but he is changing the front wing. And he's putting soft tyres on. A lot of these guys are putting soft tyres on, going aggressive at the end. And Ben Harritt gets ahead of Jamie Griffiths into turn 4. Trying to work out if Jamie Griffiths can pit under the safety car. I don't think he can, but he's day and night. Anyway, I think it's Ben Shaw's the only one out there who didn't make a pit stop under safety car first time round. Well, that's true as well, actually, Arnaud. He's in P9 at the moment, but of course he's had a few pit stops because of incidents. But no, you're right, he can make one as well. Bazza ahead of Gareth, they're fighting. Gareth gets back through. Yellow, oh, Risky's got off! Ben Shaw cannot believe his luck. It's a virtual, but it doesn't matter. He can pit.
He's done a Pete, hasn't he?
He has
exactly
indeed.
How Pete left it.
Oh, this will be a fascinating pit stop now. Now, Ben Shaw can break Delta. He can't actually break the Delta. He can floor it into the pits. The game will let him get away with it. Just don't speed, and this could be a race-winning pit stop. Oh, Yuri in as well, by the way. Yuri in as well. This is a genuine boost for him as well. I know he's got a penalty, but this whole top four. Oh, the safety of VSC's gone in. It has gone in. Was a very short one, but it's still gained about 5 seconds. But actually, it does let the top two get away with it. And look at this. Johannes really closing in on the back of Jake into turn one. No doing there. And actually, that the BSC lasted just a little bit too short because it basically changed nothing that. Arnaud's in sick, but he has to pit.
He's through.
And the move has been done. Down the inside it was of turn 4, which is an interesting place to go for it. But Johannes has taken the lead back again. But this isn't over yet. This is not over yet.
Oh no. They're very evenly matched, these two. We introduced Johannes to the league. All I got told about him was he's similar pace to Casper, but with less crashes. And to be fair, Casper doesn't crash that much. So you knew Johannes was going to be good. We just didn't quite know who he'd be really against, and it appears to be on night 1, opening night of JACKOCAR Season 11. Jake O'Sullivan is his match. And of course, we expect more from these in the next 20 weeks. Corey Dalton inside of 3 seconds now with a little over 6 laps to go. Jake O'Sullivan needs to desperately stay inside that 1 second window of Johannes, who may be starting to turn the screw to try and break that window and to have an easier life of the running of the rest of this race. But he's not quite done it. It is 8.5 tenths. The gap between Johannes and Jake. Lap 24.
Just watching the two Jamies are fighting again, but it's Jamie Griffiths who got ahead, and now Kieran's got ahead of Jamie Wright as well, who's going to be heading for the pits. And I say, what a nightmare race this has been for him. Arnaud, he's fighting back against Ben Shaw. Nothing stopping him from doing this. He has to make another pit stop, but if he wants to make Ben Shaw's life difficult, there's nothing stopping it, and this is going to be a move in towards turn 4, and look at Yuri on the inside as well. That would have been brave, but he might get a run on the exit. He has got better tyres than Arnaud, and look at this. Arnaud so close to being part of a speed sandwich accident, really, but I think they've all gotten away with it. But surely Yuri fancies getting the move done here at some point in the near future. Jake, 7 tenths, 6 tenths. It's around what it was basically the whole race, wasn't it? So, has Jake got anything up his sleeve? I tell you what, he's got a load more ERS. That is what he has. I mentioned this earlier. It could be crucial because you can use a lot of ERS now. 20% is effectively what 100% would have been on 24. So you can imagine what 70% is, and that's what Jake has at his disposal for the next 5 laps. And he's using some of it now over the final corner.
I don't want to speak too soon, but one more win for Jake O'Sullivan ties him with a great Jamie Wright on 19 wins. It's 5 to go in JACKOCAR at Bahrain, and he sits P2 still behind Johannes, or is he waiting for this next DRS zone? Back to you.
And looks like Arnaud's gone into the pits. He might have been trying to force Ben Shaw to fall 3 seconds back from Casper. That's all I can assume was going on there, because Casper has that 3-second penalty. I believe it's 3 seconds. So I'll just, yeah, all the penalties are 3-second penalties. But he hasn't quite managed it. Ben Shaw just within that gap to be P4. But I'm sure Casper, if he really needs to, he can pull a little bit more pace out of the bag. He's got a tiny bit more ERS as well. Yuri, it's been a very strong race for him, despite the incidents he's gone off. Oh, big accident for Ben Shaw! That could be a very late safety car. Go on, do it. Do it.
Go on.
Out of turn 7. Once again. VSC. You should have knocked the wheel off. That would have done it. But yeah, that's out of turn 7 again. The third car to go off there.
Yeah,
Speed graveyard down here today.
Unbelievable.
Now,
So
when
promotes Yori to P5 then.
when's this VST going to end? Because the last one was very short, and it looks like they're already back on the full throttle. Look at that. Jake's nearly into the back of Johannes. This is a chance to save ERS if you do Johannes, but if you get the restart right, Jake, which you haven't, it has to be said, he will have had a chance to have a run towards turn 1. Ben Harrett sped, and that's quite a disaster because he's P6. That's a massive disaster, and he'll be furious with himself. That is a drive-through penalty, and he will not take it this lap, but he'll have to take it at some point. If we don't convert these to time penalties, you'll be black flagged if you don't take it within the next 3. Now, Bassett, after his accident earlier, he's catching up here onto the back of Gareth Hall, although I do fear he actually has to make one more pit stop. I think he does. So, yeah, because his last pit stop was 7 laps ago, and that would be...
He'll stay out for the overtake, though.
Yeah,
And
it's
here it
definitely
comes.
overtaken. But Gareth... Oh, no!
he's got
That
it
was
wrong!
dreadful. What are you doing, man? He's not both sides of the front one off in one swipe.
Oh, Bazza.
Oh, wow,
It
that
was
was...
entertainment, if nothing else.
Well, exactly. But it's a car. He is the only car he's fighting for a legit position because they both have to pit on Gareth and Bazza. But that's not the way to do it. As Jamie Wright into the pits again. Basically, he just wants a fastest lap. Get the point for that, maybe. We'll see how he gets on. Keep an eye on it. But Jake, he's still got way more ERS here than Johannes, but he has to start using it at some point. You can't blow the whole tank in one lap. Your deployment won't allow it. You can only see he's used half his deployment on this lap. He's not even used much of it. So at this point, you've got to start tanking 20% of it on the main straight. Otherwise, you're going to end up finishing the race with loads of extra energy, which you could have used to fight the race leader. Now, this is really the only fight on track, isn't it? Because R9, he's on the back of Gareth, but these are 2 cars in completely different races, and they're still hitting each other, don't get me wrong, but this is R9 just trying to salvage a top 10 and restore a bit of dignity after what's... well, not dignity, well, I don't even know what went wrong from him, actually. I didn't actually see the concept, but whatever went wrong, he wants to undo the damage. It's not dignity. That was too strong an insult, I think. You're not okay, you have some left. But he's ahead of Gareth anyway. Speaking of him, actually, OKK's the next car up, who sits in the top 10. So maybe they both have their dignity back. But yeah, I think basically everything outside the top 2 is basically decided. We'll see Ben Harrett will have to pit at some point for the drive-through. That'll promote everyone up a position. But yeah, it's basically just about the front 2.
Jake O'Sullivan starting to impersonate Ricky Bobby. When Jean Girard comes to NASCAR, he's like, who is this guy? He's so fast as Johannes. Jake
Look at the
O'Sullivan
ERS,
certainly
though.
made his match.
Now
Yeah,
he's using
I
a bit of
know.
it.
But Johannes is doing everything just right, and that's all you need to do. JACKOCAR's never been about being the fastest, it's about being either the luckiest with a bit of talent involved.
Oh,
and
Jake.
Johannes has all of that. What's
Use
Jake
the
done now?
button. Press the button. There's only 2 laps left. You've got to start using this energy. He'll have enough to counter it on the main straight, I think, on the next lap you have it. He's got about 20%. That might just do it. I think Jake, this whole lap, now he's using a bit of it. He use more of it because I just don't want him to cross the line with 40% left in his battery and be like, oh, I could have won the race if I'd just blown more of it in the last few laps to close up. It's a slightly frustrating watch, this, but I could be wrong. Maybe he has this under control as Jamie Griffiths. Was that a right nice out of turn 2? That was a very nice move. He's fighting away with Kieran for P6. Ben Harrett has taken his drive-through. Actually comes out just in front of Arnold and just behind him now, but not as bad as I thought it would be, that drive-through. That shows the field spread in his first race of the season. Jamie Griffiths is ahead of Kieran, but Kieran has no penalties, so he doesn't really have to fight this. He will get the position at the end. Jake has still got loads of ERS here, but Johannes has been using whatever ERS he has left, so maybe Jake does have enough. Maybe all my fears about him blowing it were wrong, but he has to get the move done. And Jacko, I'll let you say your piece first before I talk about the exciting action.
in the next minute and a half, we'll know who is going to win. Will we have a debutant winner, or will the wins record tumble in favour of Jake O'Sullivan? It's 1 to go in Bahrain, and here goes Jake O'Sullivan down on the run to turn 1. Owen Wyatt.
Running outside, he's going to give Johannes a DRS on the way up the hill, so he's going to have to really shove him wide. DRS for Johannes, he's close. Will he be able to fight back? He uses whatever DRS he's got left. Jake is ahead. And running outside to turn 4. He's got the grip as Johannes, but he hasn't got the space. And, well, do you know what? He still only does have like 40% ERS, does Jake. I still think he could use a bit more of it. But do you know what? It's got him into the lead, and that's what matters. Can Johannes fight back? He would hate to lose on the last lap. DRS perhaps for Jake? No, Leroy's got past him just in time. Or he's got past Leroy just in time for Johannes' sake. Has he got anything? I think Jake might just drive away from him on this back straight. He will. Jake, fair enough. The ERS was okay. Although I think he still has way more than he needed to have. And if he had lost the race, you'd be looking at that 40% extra left and thinking, why didn't you use all of it? But he's come through the middle sector. And our 4-time champion-elect, perhaps. I mean, every time someone's won a first race in this game, they've gone on to win the title. Very early to say that. It is another 21-race season, 20 more rounds to go after this. But what a way to start this is. As it comes to the final 2 corners, Jake O'Sullivan, he was on pole slightly unexpectedly. But he comes across the line to win in Bahrain. And fair enough, I'll hold my hand up. He got that ERS absolutely spot on in the end. Johannes, good debut to be P2. Corey, good comeback to be P3. Casper, he's not had much pace today, has he? That might be a bit of a concern to him. But he comes around the last corner, just in front of Yori, P4 and P5. Jamie Griffiths, he'll take that. P6 will become P7, as Kieran overtakes him on the penalty, but a strong drive from Jamie. Arnaud broke the front wing earlier on in the race, but he's come back to finish in P8. And then it'll be Ben Harrett 9th and OKK. Despite the fact he wasn't here for the first 7 laps, he has come through. If he can get qualifying lap right, he might have some pace this season. Robin started last, I believe, and he's all over the grass as he crosses the line in P11. Dustin, didn't see much of him today as he comes around the final corner. He'll be P12. Baza, it could have been a top 5. It really could have been a top 5 today. But it's potential that he's shown. And hopefully in the coming rounds we will see him achieve more than a 14th place, as Gareth will overtake him on the penalty. And then Jamie Wright, another driver we're expecting to see more from. Although he had a really messy day, didn't he? He'll be unhappy with how that all went on. And Leroy last after a dreadful race for him as well, breaking the front wing at every opportunity he possibly could, it seemed. But that is it. That is the first race back on F1 2020. Very entertaining race.
Yeah, I have to say, welcome to the Cup Series, Johannes Mellers. We've certainly found ourselves a new challenger. And without him, if the season's going to be like this, it's going to be very, very boring with Jake winning every race. But well executed in the end from Jake. But I think there's a lot more to come. Corey's certainly in the mix, and a handful of other drivers. Maybe the track doesn't suit them. Maybe they're still getting used to the game again. Maybe they've never even played the game. But I do think we have a lot of excitement on the horizon as Jake O'Sullivan matches Jamie Wright's wins record. It only took us since Jamie Wright's last win, another 5 seasons later. But finally it tumbles. It's only equalled. He's not overtaken him yet, but Jake is on 19 with Jamie Wright. Johannes, he will get a win this season, and Corey Dalton in the mix.
The thing is with this race as well, is that now that we've finished that, okay, there was one full-timer, Matt Lester, who wasn't here. The rest of them, they've all had a chance now to get to grips with the game again. By the time we arrive in Singapore next time out on Tuesday, these guys will be well sort of dialed in. And so I'm hoping that means we're going to see a very exciting season up ahead. We should mention really the races coming up, because we do also have we've got Tuesday and Thursday, okay, 2 races a week from here on out. Singapore and Vietnam. Vietnam, of course, this is the only time the Hanoi circuit ever appeared on the F1 games. And I hope people have remembered that, because there might be 1 or 2 drivers caught out. There's no Carl Smith this season. He's the man who won there when we, I think we did race there once, didn't we, in season 2? So, yeah, expect excitement there. That's next Thursday, but next Tuesday we will be in Singapore. I like Singapore. I won there once. Don't think I've ever mentioned it, but yes, we will be back on the old layout, of course, with the bridge section going underneath the bridge. There are a few chicanes, no long DRS straight anymore. So yeah, that's worth remembering. There's a few tracks I'll be going on to where the layout is slightly altered. Spain is a big one that might catch people up, but that's later on in the season. I'm going to start rambling now. That has been the first round of Season 11 of the Cup Series. We're back on F1 2020, thank goodness. Everything worked. My PlayStation worked. No crashes happened from my side. All the speed drivers are parked up in the Turn 7 barriers. We'll be back next week. See you on Tuesday for Singapore. Safe travels. Take care.